Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today, we're going to talk about all kinds of news and also no news at all because Formnext is going on. We're some big updates on the API, talking through a little bit of teleport and portals, of course, and a new price reduction over on Tangled. Finishing it up with an interview with Shopnation. Had Travis back on. He's coming back around, so you can skip ahead to that if you really want to. And, of course, answering your questions. But before all that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by Teleport. Are you tired of running 3D printers yourself and having to pack boxes, ship boxes, keep printers running, and find filament that actually stays the same color? Are you tired of having to run your Etsy store, answer messages, and run a print farm on the side? You might want to try out Teleport. Teleport plugs right into your Etsy store so that as soon as you get an order, it is printed and shipped straight to your customer for you. No longer do you have to keep a print farm running or find out what the best machine is or lose time with your family this season. You can instead just plug in Teleport and any order you get will be shipped directly to your customer for you. It can be international, it can be local, it can be down the street. But either way, you get access to 1,000 machines to keep you running even though you're no longer working. So kick up your legs and relax because now you can let Teleport run your business for you so that you can focus on designing awesome products and taking better care of your customers. So check out Teleport today over at slantpod.com. That's slantpod.com. Teleport will connect to TikTok Shop, Shopify, and Etsy and can be used by anyone running a 3D printing business. You sign up is free and there are no costs associated to using Teleport. All right, moving into the news. So there's a few pieces of news. We're going from TCT here this week. There's a lot of news that is just kind of corporate news this week that's not like individual like big pieces of news. So what I wanted to do was just run through and kind of upgrade all these things. So the first one, just quick rapid fire. Stratasys introduces series of materials and software updates for Polymer 3D printing profile. Stratasys says the new capabilities will support industrial users as they continue to leverage. FDM upgrades the most significant volume of product enhancements. A new coat-ready print mode for the ULTEM 908. Stratasys is launching the ULTEM 985 filament CG for the F330 system. Greater predictive control for SLA, enhanced accuracy for SAF, and new material and accessories for the P3. If that's useful to anybody, there you go. That's the news. All right, next one. Next piece of news. Stoke Aerospace I think it's Stoke Aerospace. It might be Stoke Space. Stoke invests in 5 metal fab 420K 3D printers to support reusable rocket production. If you don't know, Stoke Space is based in Washington, and they are designing a fully reusable rocket to orbit that uses a very interesting re-entry methodology and a very interesting takeoff methodology. They're basically using an aerospike in order to get the lift that they want from all this stuff. All right, next piece of news. Intrepid Automation appoints Rich Carone as new CEO. Protolabs expands Extra 3D offering with 4 new materials. The digital manufacturing service provider currently runs multiple Extra 3D Lumina X1 units after installing its first system just a year ago. These latest additions to its advanced photopolymers for 3D printing profile, which has been fully optimized by Extra 3D, include tough engineering and ESD materials from Loctite. Yeah, they're doing some more stuff there. 3D Printer OS expands to Bamboo Lab machines. 3D Print UK installs 2 new HP multi-jet fusion systems. $38 million Airbus-led DEXAM program to scale additive manufacturing for next-gen aircraft. And 500 3D printed bunkers delivered to the Indian Army. They are actually 3D printed bunkers. MyCoby deployed its rapid 3D concrete printing technology along with proprietary designs and materials to manufacture the bunkers. More than 500 impact and blast-resistant 3D printed bunkers were delivered to the Indian Army. The bunkers were designed by MyCoby in close alignment with the operational needs. By automating the building process, they were able to reduce construction time from 45 days to less than 7. Delivering 500 3D printed bunkers, so they weren't delivered. They weren't dropped on a truck. MyCoby has a house 3D printer, and they printed up these bunkers for them. All right, next piece of news. Again, all this stuff, like there's not a lot of discussion to be had with a bunch of these things, but there's a bunch of them. Formnext coming down the pipe here over the next couple of weeks, so there will be more announcements, mainly around machinery and even consumer products, so we won't see too many of that. And then Anisoprint founder Fedor Antonov steps back from CTO role as company focuses on consumer 3D printing segment. Tigers, and that's into the news from last week or so. So, a lot of stuff happening. It's not that big of a deal when a couple of MJF systems go in, but there it is. This was all per TCT because TCT had the concentration of 3D printing news this week. So that was how that went. All right, moving into company updates. Let's go ahead and check time here. Alrighty, man, I am so good. That is right on the button in 6 minutes since the recording started, which means it's probably more like 5 minutes, but is what it is. Okay, API v2. We just released API v2. You can check it out over at slantapi.com, slant3dapi.com. Or you can go to slant3d.com, go to API, over in services. There it is. The API we just released has several new features inside of it. The big part of it was allowing people to build applications where the API would do all of the heavy lifting. So it has better batch processing. You can upload files to it and then reference those files by file ID so that in our old API, every time an order came through, the file had to be sent for that order. But now we effectively add as a file service for you, so you can upload STLs, store them inside of our API, and then call them and reference those files again to send them through into orders. There's also been some updates around just speed and functionality. It gives better feedback about status of orders. So it'll say printing, packing, shipping, here's tracking number. All of that is in the new API. And we have integrated payments going in. They will be released here in the next couple of weeks as a follow-on from the API. But right now, API v2 is running teleport and portals. Any developer who wants to use it, it is free to get a hold of. So if you want to get 1,000 3D printers to just plug into whatever your application is, you can do that. However, what we also did when we built this version of the API and did the documentation for it, the documentation is better than API v1. The documentation for it has a single packet that you can download and add into context in Claude or inside of OpenAI, any of the AI coders, Lovable, whatever it happens to be. You can add in that piece of context, and then those AIs will be able to develop apps around our API, which is terribly, terribly useful. We did want people to be able to vibe code with the Slant 3D API and just build a cookie cutter maker that then prints off cookie cutters for people and ships them to them. This was something that we just wanted to try. So the API is very well packaged to allow anybody to work with it. It is a software package. If you have never worked with an API before, generally you need to be a software developer or a vibe coder, which I never thought was like a category of job, but it is one. If you're a vibe coder, you can work with it now too. But that new API went out a week or two ago. We'll be pushing on it a lot more and doing more demos here in the spring. But like it's functional and it's there, so it's available for you if during Christmas break you want to do some tests and some experiments. All right, but that's the updates to the API. Alrighty then, going on to the next thing. Tangled filament, our $10 per spool filament. Still $10 per spool. But we have had members and non-members inside of Tangled. Tangled, the non-members have always been a bit more expensive because the reason we created the membership was so that we could predict how much demand there is per month and match that. Tangled has been around for a year, or a little bit more than a year now. So now we have a year's worth of data about how people order it, and we're using that to now make it cheaper for non-members. Not as cheap as for members, but cheaper. So right now we just did a price reduction on non-member filament on Tangled, and 1 kg spools are $13, and a 3 kg spool is $35. So you, oh no. The 1 kg spools, they're $12. 1 kg spools are $12 per spool. And the 3 kgs are $35 for one spool because you save a little bit of effort on all the spools there. So that is there, that's working well. Yeah, we should be in good shape. I don't think there's anything else there. That should keep us alive and keep us rolling. Tangled's running. We have a few updates coming to it that will make them AMS compatible and that kind of stuff here in the next couple months, but it probably won't come until after Christmas. But yeah, Tangled right now, if you remember, you can get Tangled for $10 a spool. In fact, even a little bit less. We may have done a price reduction over there too. But yeah, if you remember on Tangled, you can get it for $10 per spool. And then if you're a non-member, you can get it for $12 per spool. That's basically where it bottoms out right there. Still black PLA. If you want Polymaker filament, you can get it pretty darn cheap over there on Tangled. Okay, updates now for portals and teleport. A lot of updates over here. So portals, we've been increasing the speed of the website. Many people may have started noticing more traffic to their portals once you publish. This has been us both continuing to improve Google SEO, and we have started running ads on portals. So some people have ads sent straight to their portal on their behalf because we want you guys to have sales. So we pay for the marketing of it. This is an experimental phase right now. Once we have it kind of nailed down, we'll allow people to like pay $20 and we'll go spend it on Facebook for you so that you can promote your portal. Once we get this upfront kind of testing done, that'll be coming through. Then teleport, we tightened up teleport a little bit. There's been some feature releases over there. On portals, here in the next week or so, you should start to see, well, there's a release coming for portals around files that'll be coming in the next week or so. Okay, hidden features for teleport and portals. Yeah, we did want to talk about this real fast. So there's a few things inside of teleport and portals that people really don't realize. The first one, and kind of the most obvious one, is the fact that there's an instant refund policy in teleport and portals. Like, we care a lot about the quality. So if anybody has any issue with an order at all they have to do is cancel the order and the order will be canceled for them. We're very generous about that. We don't ask questions. If somebody has an issue with the part, we refund the part. It just works better. So the instant refund is something that people don't really realize is there. The other hidden feature, which is a little bit more recent, is you can do custom inserts for both teleport and portals. This is a premium feature, but a feature nonetheless. If you want, you can create a custom 4x6 insert that when an order from one of your customers comes through, that insert card will print off with the label and will be put into the box with it. So that card can have QR codes, it can have instructions, it can have your own branding, store branding, a thank you card, a thank you note. It could be a custom message if you really want to. The things we've seen people do with this are instructions for individual portals and teleport items. So like, this is how you put together the lamp. QR codes to like thank you videos have been one that I've seen a couple times. But yeah, those custom inserts are there. It is black and white, and you do have to have it fit on a 4x6 card, but it is there. And then the third one that's big is third-party components. Like, you can include a light puck, a wireless charger, ball bearings, marbles, screws, nuts, bolts. Those can all be included with your items inside of portals. And lately, we've been very generous with adding those in. So if you need something, you can pretty much just send an email into support at support@slant3d.com and say, hey, I need this size magnet or whatever it was. And we've been pretty much taking anything anybody asks for. So it's going, so that's available to you. So those are like 3 hidden features that people don't utilize like enough. Well, we don't want you to use instant refund more often, but within reason, if you had any problems with orders, because it just holds us accountable really well. And then, yes, the custom inserts and third-party parts. These are all really good ways of improving the value of your products. So I recommend everybody use them because they're just very useful. They're fantastically valuable to people. But yeah, so those are updates and new things inside of teleport and portals. But now, let's go ahead and roll into questions. And this podcast was recorded live during the live stream here, so I'm going to turn over here and read the chat. So if anybody in chat has any questions, this is your time to get them in. I'll read the chat questions, and then I'll read the ones that are stored up over the last couple of weeks from people commenting on videos. We are, if you want to have a question get answered on the show, just comment question, : whatever your question is, and I will get them covered. All right, what do we got, chat? How exactly does it connect to your store, and how does it know which print is which? Because I've tried using teleport, I just don't know if it would work when I get a sale. So when you, inside of teleport, when you get an order comes into teleport, what it does is a button will pop up next to that order that says match, and you will match, and you will click on match, and your file list will pop up, and you select the file that goes with that order, or a group of files. You can select multiple. You can have 5 files connected to one part. But the fundamental kind of functionality of how it works is it looks for the SKU of the product, and then it matches those files to that SKU. The other way you can do it is manually inside of teleport. If you go to your matches page, you can go to create match, and then you can enter in a SKU, the SKU number that is on like the Etsy item, and then you can match up the files that go with that SKU, and then when an order shows up with that SKU number in it, those parts will print for that. So that's how you do that. It's a pretty simple process. There's a video over on slantpod.com, or slantpod here on YouTube, explaining how to create matches. There's 3 or 4 videos actually on it. So there should be some good examples. We even have the live full build and setup of teleport if you ever want to watch that. It's an hour long, but it has chapters. Next question. If I want to sell a set of 2 things that are identical, but I can put them in one portal without a brim or platform to connect them, you can do that if you have a multiple in a thing. We recommend matching up one item on a print bed and just saying print 2 of these. That's better. But if you're only doing 2 items, you can put 2 of them on a print bed and have them print as a single file. That's okay. You don't put more than 5 things on a print bed. If you're batching heavier than that, you'll end up having problems. How much money do y'all make on YouTube versus your app? We make almost no money on YouTube. YouTube is the YouTube channel and everything else that we do is designed to be a feature of all of our other services. So like the educational materials, the design for videos, those are all meant to help people use teleport and portals better. So yeah, we don't heavily monetize these channels. We've tried sponsorships and that kind of stuff, but we don't make a living here. We make a living with our giant print farm out there because we got thousands of machines operating and making parts for people. The YouTube is the way of helping people do it right. Is there a weird fuzz right there? No, I guess not. Okay. For license files like lampshade diffusers, where the maker recommends 8 to 12% infill, would these work with 25% infill? Yes, they will work with 25% infill. Oh, also, we have allowed, there will be an update coming out in teleport or teleport and portals here in probably in the next week or so, to where vase mode for lampshades will be activated. So you'll be able to get all that done too. So lampshades will be really easy. Our current profiles work fine, so you can update a lampshade, but it's just important to have the lampshade be not a solid body, but a thin-walled 1 millimeter thick body, and then it prints fine. So yeah. Moobs McGee, I have a design that requires a 1/4-inch shaft for a drill or impact driver. Would you supply it? Yeah, go ahead and email support@slant3d.com and we can get those included for you. Keen to be a partner in Australia. Huge market here and genuinely think it's a perfect product. We'd be open. Well, I'm sorry, man. We don't work with external print farms. The reason we don't is because the systems that we have are so tightly integrated that if we change anything or anything else, we don't email files to people, because number one, that's really dangerous because you can lose people's files, and we're really sensitive about protecting people's files. But also, like, existing print farms don't generally have the operational scale that's necessary to do it. We're working on getting a print farm over in Australia, but as we think about it, like operationally, the United States is the #1 market on the planet, and we have not fully saturated it yet, so we have to make sure that the services are just as good as possible and as good as they can be here, and then we can move into other stuff. So that's kind of how we think about it. Why is ABS considered a dead material? Because ASA is better in every way than ABS. ASA is less toxic, ASA is more UV resistant, ASA still vapor smooths, ASA does not warp as badly, ASA has better interlayer adhesion. I don't know what ABS is used for at all. The only reason ABS ever existed is because it's the default material for injection molding. So it was around to be extruded, and then people started using it. But it's a garbage material for 3D printing. It's unstable, it's very toxic, and it has no features that other materials don't have better. ASA is more heat resistant than ABS. Well, it might not be. I'll double check myself on that one. I'm not sure what the classification temp is on ASA versus ABS. But ASA is a better material, just completely. It's okay if I order a box of all the third-party parts I want to design around. I can just create a prototype without an actual print being created and send it to myself. Yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. Right now, inside the prototyper on Teleport, you're able to go through and order your own items. I think there's a functional way of doing it right now, but if you want to hack it, you can go to the prototyper inside of Teleport, add all the parts, and add one 3D model. And then you get all the way to end, and then you delete the 3D model from checkout, and then it'll just take the third-party parts, and we'll ship them all to you. What about having 2 to 3 slicer settings for strength, like vase, normal, and strong, that change wall and infill? Because we already have strong. The settings right now for Teleport are set up that way. Vase will be added in. We have support and no support. And then a part just needs to be strong, because the thing people need to realize is that, like, a lot of people who aren't 3D printing nerds, sorry, 3D printing fans. Yeah, people who aren't 3D printing nerds like all of us don't know the difference between infill settings and that kind of stuff. So normal and strong, everybody would default to strong, because why wouldn't you want the part to be strong? So we just simplify the thing and make it everything strong. And that tends to be better. And it's not, the optimization that comes from it just isn't really worth it. So it's just better to make sure everything's over-engineered for everybody. All right. What about, what sort of packing lines do you guys have? The company I work for makes secondary packaging machines for forming cardboard boxes, loading them, closing them, and putting them on pallets. We do have those machines. We actually have a video over on, like, the Tangled channel, I believe, talking about our tape packing machines. Right now we have about 4 or 5 primary packing stations that parts go through and get packed up, and it's really similar to like Amazon, with somebody throwing the part in the box, making sure it's wrapped in the blue crinkle paper, and then sending it out the door. Okay, appreciate that. No problem. Pix3. Okay, fair enough then. I think that's all the questions that I can spot that are complete there over there. All right, so we'll go to normal questions here inside the YouTube. Let's see here. What do we got? Question: any way to feed custom text for each order? This is an important feature for me. Specifically, I want my Etsy item to have the option of some added text customization, and I'm willing to automate sending a new customized STL file for that order. You can do this. The way of doing it is to basically set your item up as a custom item inside of Etsy, and then with no SKU, and then when it comes in to Teleport, you can match up the file that goes with that order, and that is the way of getting it done. So you can upload custom items that way. It's not that bad, because each order comes in and it just says match, so you click match and then you upload the STL that goes along with it. Question: what about using the gyroid generator that Fusion includes? Oh, this is about increasing part strength through like micro features. You can use the gyroid interior from Fusion and it's fine. It'll just increase print time because it's not very efficient. Question: something I've been wanting would also answer the question. Will you be adding the option for coupon codes to portals? Right now I can upload the same thing again with a lower price if I want to give a coupon link. I'm not sure what that question is. There will be an affiliate program coming to Teleport and Portal. So if you have friends who are interested in doing it, we will set up an affiliate program to where if they make a sale, the affiliate will get a portion of the sales revenue. So that will be coming out here very soon so that people can share it around. And yeah, that'll be great. Can can I place an order for the color patches of all 17 of your filaments? You can upload a model and have them all printed. We're working on doing like a sample swatch kit, but the issue with this is that you don't need all 17 colors. Design your product and pick the color that you need it to be, and then have that product in that color or a couple of the colors. Swatches for product design just aren't very good unless you're really going to design 17 or 100 different products. That being said, we're trying to get it out there to where there's these default little order kits of like swatches, third-party parts, all those things, to where we have these little starter kits for people. We basically just need to be able to teleport builder kit. That's a box of like the primary, most popular third-party components, and then a color swatch set. And maybe like a spool of filament that's one of them too. Question, what are the pitfalls of My Mini Factory launching their print program? My Mini Factory had their thing like years ago. It's an SLA one for miniatures. I don't know much about it, so I can't talk to that very much. Question, are you going to allow animated GIFs on portals that are demonstrating their use? We are working on this. We're working on getting videos uploaded and included on Teleport and portals so that people can show demonstrations. Easy way to do it, upload a whole bunch of pictures and then people can click through it and see it move. But yes, actually, I'm not sure that it doesn't allow GIFs right now, actually. You may be able to upload a GIF inside of some of the photo ones. I haven't tried it. I'm not sure if we had that as like a mulligan when we did it, so I'm not certain. Okay, let's see here. Okay. What are your thoughts on upgrading packaging for the Tangled spools? We've done the upgraded stuff. We continue to always work with vacuum forming. Vacuum forming is tough, but the biggest improvement we have on that is a change in spools. So we're running through the inventory of our old black spools, and then we will be using new spools, and those will be better. So that will be coming down here fairly soon. Is there ever a future for a large-scale printer like 500 by 500 to become a part of your business? No, we won't be ever doing large format like that. It's just not, it's not useful, and it doesn't have scale. Like everything we do, we talk about scale. And 85% of plastic parts fit inside of there. And we got $500 billion worth of stuff to be made that fits inside of there. So, like, we just don't need it. Okay. Alrighty, let's see here. Any other questions? I'll come back to chat here in just a second. So if you guys have any questions, get them in there and I'll run through them. The real question is, as a print service, how do you deal with prints that require assembly? We don't. Right now we don't assemble parts, but this is the thing that I was talking about, that insert card earlier. Upload instructions, and then you can send people basically an IKEA package of 3D printed parts that they can put together. But it's just not reliable for us to do all the assembly, because if we put that in, then it increases our costs. It also increases error rate. We have to put another line into the place that's for assembly. There's got to be a critical mass. If we did assembly, anybody who wanted assembly would have to have a minimum of like somewhere between 100 and 1,000 parts per month in order to have us train people to do assembly on those things. So it's very difficult. Okay. Are we going to have unlisted profiles and portals to avoid copycats? Yes, that will be coming out. Right now, when you publish a portal, it becomes searchable on Google, and you can disable the portal to hide it and that kind of stuff. But then nobody can look at it. So we will be doing only people who basically like Google Docs, where only people who have the link can view it, and then deal with that. And then you can have it public and findable on the internet, and that'll let people differentiate if you really want to keep your stuff hidden and in your central area. But yeah, that's the way of doing it. All right, coming over to chat. Let's see what we got in chat. What do we got? Thanks for all the videos. They've been super helpful. Oh, thanks, man. Hey, and the Neil Stack. Are you aware of methods to make parts food safe? I hear nozzle contamination could be an issue, and layer lines also. Okay, editor, if you're watching this, cut this out, post it someplace as a short. 3D printing is food safe. This entire myth around 3D printing not being food safe is completely ridiculous. And this is just it is an internet rumor that 3D printing is food safe. Here's one of the biggest myths around 3D printing food safety. There's lead in the nozzle and it'll get in my parts. No, there's not. That is a rumor that people thought that low-grade brass nozzles from China had lead included in them, and therefore it would make the part unusable. But here's the thing. We ran the math on this, and literally, if you printed with a lead nozzle that scraped away as you printed like a single kilogram, it would still not be a significant amount of lead inside of your thing. So the trace part, teeny tiny possibility that isn't even proven that there might be lead in low-grade brass from nozzles from 10 years ago is just wrong and doesn't exist. It's an internet rumor. Well, the reason I'm ramped on this is because we're doing a video about this and I've been working on the script. This is complete bupkis. The other thing that people talk about is, the layer lines grow mold and that kind of stuff. Do you have a wooden cutting board? Do you have a plastic cutting board that somebody has cut something on? You have a bunch of cuts in it, a bunch of cracks, a bunch of grooves for stuff to grow into. Okay, and then lastly, people say, it leaks in and then it gets into the infill and mold grows inside of the infill. Again, you're kind of dealing with a trace thing, because even if I had the bubonic plague growing inside the infill of a part, it can only leak out so fast, so you pretty much cook it out. That's not a good excuse. That's not a good one. But I'm just putting it in context here of like, go eat some dirt. The world is not sterile. Nothing in the world is sterile. So, but the 3D prints getting it into the infill, this is knowing how to manufacture the print so that the infill doesn't fill up with juices that are going to grow and have rotting blood inside of it. Also, why are you filling up the 3D printed parts with raw eggs? Which, by the way, raw eggs don't leach into the infill of the 3D print. They only get to the layers because the surface tension of the raw eggs is too high to leak anywhere into the part. Water, I'm pretty sure, even has surface tension too high to leak into the part without a long continuous exposure and a full cup down at the bottom of it all. So all of the contamination issues with 3D prints are just ridiculous. Now, that all being said, when I recommend using 3D printed parts, I recommend using it on dry foods. Flour, cookies, cooking, pouring out cups, oils, all that stuff is fine. 3D prints aren't going to have any problem or any more problems than other stuff you have inside of your kitchen. It's okay. But now, do you want to make a water bottle out of a 3D print? No, because it's tough to clean. So you want stuff that is cleanable. 3D prints are tough to clean, but even this is fixable by printing them in a plastic that you can stick inside of a dishwasher so some soap and water can get at them. Don't put a 3D print at the bottom of your stack of dishes that you have in your little hovel where you're a college kid and you don't ever clean anything. That's a bad place for a 3D print to be because some germs and bacteria will get in there. Oh, here's the thing. A piece of bacteria is 10 microns. The largest cracks or biggest pieces of pores inside of a 3D print are about 50 to 80 microns. So you got 10 bacteria side by side going into these places. But like, again, all of this, the food safety of 3D printing is such an overblown issue and in 90% of the cases is completely irrelevant. Also, lastly, food safe is not a universal factor. Food safety is like child safe. It has to be tested and verified on a product-by-product basis in order to say anything is food safe. An injection molded part isn't food safe unless it goes through those qualifications and gets the certification. So this whole idea that 3D printing isn't food safe, no, nothing is food safe until you go through it all. And if you design a part well and use correct manufacturing processes, a 3D print can be perfectly food safe, especially if it's in a particular use. So, for example, this bottle right here could totally be 3D printed. You know why? Because it's full of pills. It doesn't matter. Also, other thing, if people are like, the microplastics inside of the 3D print, it's unhealthy or whatever else it was. Somebody else did a really good little demo of this. They're like, okay, if your normal amount of microplastic that you get from a plastic water bottle is this much right here. The amount of microplastics that come out from a 3D print are this much up here. But the amount of microplastics that you get from eating a salad out of a plastic wrapped package is way up here. So it doesn't matter. Darn it, editor, cut out that cough. But yes, The food safety thing is so completely bupkis. Go make your cookie cutters or your cups or your pill holders or pill organizers. It's all fine. The food safety police who are out there all the time are all completely wrong. Unless you're trying to high pressure flow raw eggs through this print, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, what was the next question? I would love to have a reverse coupon code where I can charge people I know more money. I don't know what you're going. Oh, I get what you're saying. I have all the filament colors that you have on Portals. Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, a lot of the primary colors on Portals are actually from Polymaker, so people could source it. We have a list over there on the Slant Pod website of the colors. All right, how would you price a thing to sell on Etsy? Right now I have a thing there, but I include shipping and the total price of the standard, 30% markup, using that total price including shipping. Double whatever your manufacturing cost is minimum. And that includes the cost of shipping. So if it costs you $10 to make it, $5 to ship it, you should sell it for $30. That's a good baseline rule. The other baseline rule is the rule of threes. Whatever your cost of manufacturing is, you should triple it. That's what pays for your marketing, pays for other people to help, all the rest of it. If you're pricing lower than that, you're too low. Cookie cutter folks would be screwed otherwise. Nah, cookie cutter folks are fine. You guys have no idea how many cookie cutters we make for the last 10 years. Not 10 years, 7 years, however long we've been around. Cookie cutters are not a problem. Okay, all right, fair enough then. Hey, in a needle stack. Awesome answer about the food safe stuff. Oh, thanks, man. Alrighty, that's it, guys. We're gonna wrap up Core Podcast. Coming up, we have an interview with Travis over at Shopnation. We shot this interview several weeks ago. Actually, it might be months ago now at this point. But we were doing a series of interviews for the podcast this year. And if you don't know Travis, Travis is the leader of Shopnation, which is a YouTube channel that focuses on woodworking and building out your shop and organizing it. He's a very good YouTuber. But he also operates a very good business selling shop accessories for chop saws and different sorts of things. He's been a client in the past. We've known each other for a while because, quite frankly, we look really similar. If you see us side by side, it doesn't look good. And we had to do this podcast just to put the rumors to rest that we're the same person. We're not totally different, just Midwestern guys with beard, bald, and hat. So it's just the way the life is. But this interview was a lot of fun. We got to talk about YouTube quite a bit, so it was a little bit off kilter from what we normally do. So enjoy this interview and have a great day, everybody, and see you next week. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. How's life over there in the big city?
Big city. It's good. Yeah, it's good. No complaints. Just a bunch of little things going on, but I like your new studio setup.
We're trying, getting it closer. It's not ready for podcast yet, but we're trying to keep it in the angle. Yeah. Our normal shooting one's over there, but we don't have any. The eye line gets really messed up with that one, so
yeah,
we're just using this thing.
Nice.
Saw your interviews with Greg Mark the other day. Is more of that stuff coming out?
So that interview was part of basically an extra in the course, the Printform Academy course. So nice. As a part of that, I sit down with like people who own 3D printing businesses, which,
Yeah, he owns one.
Yeah. So the interview that we did is in there. So you're in there.
Sick.
And then I've got some others sort of like on the docket that are set to come out. So. But nice. Yeah, the Greg. What's funny is like I'm friends with Greg, so a lot of the interview is just us like messing around, and I don't know. Sometimes like Greg is like one of those guys that he's like super smart and he gets off track like really easy, and you gotta like wrangle him back in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you meet him while you were working there, or did you guys become friends after?
Yeah, met while we were. They were still so small when I went to join, so
that's right.
I just got to know Greg. Yeah.
That's fair. Nice. Well, has anything been going on that you want to talk about here during the show and that kind of stuff?
Nothing in particular. Just extruding plastic. You know the deal.
Extruding plastic. Yeah, I did want to talk to you, Hair, about that or something, because you're one of the weird guys who's like in the in between of two separate industries. You're using 3D printing inside of woodworking. the thing I wanted to like go into is like, do you consider yourself in shop stuff or in 3D printing, or is 3D print
Great
which one is
question.
dominant? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, fair enough.
I ask myself that all the time.
Okay, that's fair. Then fine, we'll go on that one. You had a new product coming out, but I don't know if you always have a new product coming out or if this is the latest in a month or something like that, or how significant is it?
You're
Which
talking
brand of saw
about
was
the
it?
newest dust
Saw.
collector.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the new.
I mean, I should be coming out with them much more often, but the goal is to start ramping that up as I delegate my time better and able
That's fair.
to do that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the goal is to start tackling all these saws by basically popularity going down.
Okay, fair enough then. Is the class going good?
Yeah, it's going great.
Sick.
It
Cool.
was like kind of a closed. The first like cohort was a closed group, so basically opened the for registration for 30 days and then closed it.
Nice.
But the students are doing well. The feedback's great. Probably do some like success story type things and then open it back up probably in the fall. So yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. And then let's see here. Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about like number of SKUs that you've done through Shopnation since you got started and that kind of stuff in relation to what printing's given you the ability to create and still maintain sanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All fair
Um,
game.
cool. Fair enough. Is there anything off limits that I should be aware of, like right off the bat, of things that like we shouldn't hit on?
No, I don't think so.
Cool.
Usually a pretty open book.
That's fair. Yeah, if anything comes up or something like that, you can just be like, ah, Gabe, can we skip over this and we'll cut it out
Okay.
afterwards, and that'll be fine. So yeah, that's no big deal.
Okay.
Cool. Alrighty then. Producer, if you have anything last to say, say it now or forever hold your peace because we're gonna start this thing. I got one guy on the side who's chatting at me, but anyhow. Alrighty. All right, we'll just dive into it. I'll do what I did the last time is basically give an intro of you separately from this whole thing, and then we'll just dive right into conversation and that kind of stuff.
Works for me.
Cool. So, Travis, thanks again for coming back on the show here. It was fun talking to you last time.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite back. I must have done something right.
Exactly, right? Well, so we'll discover how much of it was right or wrong going forward. We'll have some gotchas later on. But how's life? How's Shop Nation going and all the rest of it?
It's good. Anytime you're working for yourself, you end up biting off way more than you can chew, and then you just figure it out later. So that's what I'm in the middle of doing right now.
So yeah, you have a number of projects. You're working on a shop. You've been doing the class. Of course, you have the couple of YouTube channels. Which one's giving of those things as you get too much to do?
Unfortunately, the 3D printing YouTube channel is giving. I don't think I've posted on that thing in like 90 days. So
Eh,
I'm currently filming a video for it, and we're gonna try and ramp it up here shortly. But yeah, that's the one that got set on the side burner when everything else came up.
what do you want to do with that channel? Like, where do you want it to go?
So Shop Nation, my main channel, is a monetization engine. I mean, I'm just gonna call it for what it is, right? It's me doing stuff that I enjoy, but it's a way for me to make a living. The Print Farm Academy channel, I'm less interested in necessarily making money with it and just sharing, kind of like I don't even want to call it prosumer, but people that are interested in 3D printing beyond printing Yoda heads and Flexi Dragons. That's kind of my goal. Like I want to help people. If you want to turn it into a business, like cool, we can help you there. But also, if you just want to be like a more efficient and effective 3D printing hobbyist, like that's where I think I can help.
What are the main areas that you think people get wrong as they start making that transition from, yes, the hobbyist where I'm making some fidget dragons to sell on the weekends to actually turning it into something more significant?
Like in terms of starting a business with 3D printing.
Yeah, effectively starting a business or just scaling up any sort of function there if you're doing it at a school or a lab or anything else.
I think the biggest gap, and it's an understandable gap, just given the nature of 3D printing and how easy it is to replicate what somebody else is doing, is there's not enough people sharing the ins and outs of a 3D printing business. Because anyone who's doing it successfully has like carved out this little niche that may or may not be profitable for them. And I think people get sort of afraid of sharing details and sort of behind the scenes stuff because they don't want somebody to swoop in and take it from them. So I've always had the sorry, I've always had transparency sort of built into whatever I do, and that extends to my 3D printing business. And I just don't think that there's a great like resource out there who is willing to share enough details to make a meaningful impact for somebody looking to do it themselves. So that's kind of why I wanted to start Print Farm Academy.
This is a really good point. You are definitely one of the most open while also being the most successful 3D printed product makers out there. Do you think that the level of secrecy and the fear of competition in 3D printing is unique to 3D printing? Or do we just have it dialed up more? Or do we attract a type of person that is more scared? The competition in 3D printing is the first thing everybody says when they're like, don't share what you're working on. What is your whole take on that situation?
I think, to your point, I think it's evident in all kinds of industries. I think people are just naturally like, they want to keep their cards close to their vest. But I think 3D printing specifically makes it really easy. And that's part of what makes it great, right? You can just start making stuff tomorrow if you really wanted to. And if the only limiting factor is I just need your design file, that's a gap that's like easily jumped if you have any skills in CAD, right? I think that there's a big discrepancy in 3D printing of people having the modeling skills necessary to like accelerate their own journey enough. I think one thing that's really underutilized is basically just outsourcing that to people who do that well. I think everyone gets stuck in this like notions like, well, I have to learn how to like 3D model, you know, like a guy who's been doing it for 20 years, where that's just not really realistic. So yeah, we live in this like weird world where if you have the skill set where you can do 3D modeling and you understand just some basics about 3D printing and even just running a small business, you could in theory like replicate what somebody's doing like fairly easily. Now, of course, there's like a whole host of things that, you know, you're like ignoring by making a statement like that. Like, do you have position in the market? Do you have any kind of recognition? Are you running advertising? Like, do you have a platform? All that kind of stuff, which is vital to being successful. But yeah, I think 3D printing offers like a kind of almost an easy button to starting a physical part business, if you want to call it that.
I agree with you on that, in that it's so easy that there's kind of a swarm mentality to the competition. It's not you're fighting with one other guy. You fight with every one of the teenage kids that then shows up who takes a picture of the same fidget dragon. But like you said, there's the entire context around building the business versus making the individual product. There are a bajillion people out there with products, and everybody knows what the next shoe Nike is making is, and Nike makes a commodity also that anybody else can make a copy of if they want to, but Nike still has the brand recognition, the marketing, and everything else on top of it. I think my philosophy kind of on it is with a gross generalization. Since 3D printing is a bunch of engineers, to a very large degree, or at least by what our audience shows on our YouTube channel, engineers think the product is the only thing that matters.
True.
And therefore it becomes the core obsession of like, if somebody else has my product, I just lost the entire soul and capability, when there's so much more to the business than just the product, even though it's
exactly.
So I think it's an obsession that like gets caught in people's brain a little bit more than it should. Whereas if you like just wanted to make a really good fidget dragon, you probably could do it right now. And there's companies who are right now. But people get in their head about the competition a little bit too much because they immediately see 100 people copying their stuff.
I agree. Yeah, I think, and it's in the course, I talk about this like really early on. I'm like, execution is so much more important than an idea, right? And I give like the Amazon example. I'm like, if I went back and dropped you in 1994 and you knew everything you know about Amazon now, could you start Amazon? The answer is probably no, right?
Yep.
Like, you have all the information you need, you know it's possible, but you can't execute like Jeff Bezos did.
That's an awesome example to do that with. Like, it's still contextual to the person actually doing it, even if you have the full blueprint.
Right. It's just I agree. I think we get too focused on the end result and we forget about the whole path it took to get there.
That too. Yes, exactly. A lot of people don't have a long enough time horizon because they do think, Dragon, put it on Etsy, sell it tomorrow. And the in between. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Or even again, in the context of the competition shows up, I'm immediately going to be dead tomorrow. And it's like, no, 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 no. If you can
Right.
hold out for like 2 years, the other competition is going to burn out if they undercut you
Exactly.
by 80% and all the rest of it. So just do your thing. Don't be stupid. And everybody else who's a fly-by-nighter burns out after a minute when their hobby gets old or Christmas is past and they run out of money, whatever it happens to be. So just the staying power is so underrated.
Yep.
That endurance.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
but
And I think there's a deeper thing there. It's like a lot of people attribute a 3D printing business with just selling like a thing, like a trinket, right? We like the Flexi Dragons gets around a lot because frankly, people sell a lot of Flexi Dragons, right?
yep,
But a business isn't built around a thing. A business is built around solving problems for a specific type of person, right? And if you're building a business just based on what is hot right now, like maybe it's
right.
Flexi Dragons today, maybe it's like fidget cubes tomorrow, maybe it's like something else the next day. You don't have a business. You have like a side of the road trinket stand. I mean, like there's no like common thread. There's no like to your point staying power with that. You're just looking for shiny objects to go pursue.
Right. You're working in fashion without really understanding fashion. You're late
Exactly.
to the party.
Yeah.
Um, as opposed to a fashion designer who has to at least create the trend and then try to ride it from there, as opposed to everybody else who then copies them in Walmart after the whatever Tom Ford thing comes out. Or that's the only fashion designer I know. I don't know.
That's a
Gucci.
great
There we
analogy.
go. There's
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yes, to be catching the wave right now, yes, you can make a quick buck and get on by, but then it'll fizzle out at some point. So if you actually have the good, again, back to the executional resiliency to keep on finding either the next wave so that you can continue to be a fashion house turning out whatever the popular thing is, or at least creative enough to understand what your core offering is by building a brand or something along those lines, or building an audience to where people will stick with you over a period of time.
Yep.
But how long has Shopnation been around?
I started what started as a YouTube channel back in 2017, September of 2017. So coming up on 8 years.
Coming up on 8 years. How much longer you got till birthday?
It's sometime in September. I'd have to look it up, but yeah.
That's fair.
So about a
Okay,
month or
yeah,
so.
it's eight
Yeah.
years. I'll give you 8 years. It's close enough. By
Yeah.
the time this goes out, who knows? It might,
Yeah.
it might be something.
Yeah.
Uh, Perfect. When you we talked about this a little bit on the last show, but just for like refresher and that kind of stuff, what was the main goal with doing Shop Nation when you started doing those videos?
Um, if you asked me back then, I probably wouldn't be able to give you a coherent answer. But I think what I like, maybe subconsciously, what I was doing was I identified that there was a gap in YouTube at the time of content just focused on the shop because I found myself trying to search for how people set up their workshops and ways they organized it and ways they stay efficient, which I don't know, maybe a lot of people weren't into that, but that was just something I was into, and I just saw that it was kind of sprinkled throughout different channels, right, who were doing a whole host of stuff, but there was no one really focusing on it. And I said, you know what, like, and I was also like, it was kind of a crossroads of two things. We just moved into a house. I negotiated with my wife that I had one car of the garage that was mine, and I could do whatever I want with it, right? And so I'm looking at this blank slate, and I'm like, I want to build a cool shop. Maybe I should film it. I don't know. So I just told myself, like, all right, we'll make 10 videos, and if there's any traction whatsoever, we'll keep going. And sure enough, by the 10th video, we had like a couple viewers. So I was like, all right, let's go.
A couple of viewers is a little bit of an understatement for that 10th video, wasn't it?
Well, I know we were definitely under the 1,000 subscriber mark. Um, I'd have to go back and look at the
That's
analytics.
fair.
Like it's misleading because a lot of the early videos they get views now because people go back and look at the terrible videos from before, so it kind of
Yeah,
bumps the numbers a little bit. But
yeah,
yeah, at the time it was significant enough to keep me going.
that's fair. What what surprised you the most when you started doing YouTube or when it started hitting? What was the thing that like came along and you're like, oh, I yeah, that's interesting.
That's a good question. Um, Maybe like just confirming the fact that like I was onto something, like an idea of there's more people out there than besides me who care about their shop looking nice. I just thought I was kind of a weirdo that just wanted a nice looking shop. I figured most people probably didn't care. So maybe it's just like confirming in the market that there was actually people who care about this and are willing to sit through god awfully edited videos to talk about it.
That's so surprising because that's like exactly the same thing we had. We started basically answering like client questions. And I was like, apparently other people want to watch this too because we thought we'd max out at like 25,000 subs ever and then we'd be
Yeah,
good. And I was like, why the heck is anybody else watching this print farm crap? There's like 12 other print farmers out there. Who cares?
right.
But yeah, for whatever reason it stuck.
Interesting.
Uh,
So
yeah,
early
it
on,
was.
were you guys focused on just content around a print farm, or was it
Yeah. Well,
okay?
context around production 3D printing, because when we did the YouTube originally, we were like, it was a tool effectively for the sales team of like, okay, we keep on having to write an email explaining how to orient a part or something like that. Let's make an explainer video that answers this question that comes up repeatedly, and then you can just send a link to the video. So that took all that weight off of everybody having to answer emails all the time. But then the videos just started to be broadly interesting enough to where other people were finding them and watching them. I don't think it was until we had done that probably for a solid 6 months, maybe even a year before like a client showed up who said, I found you from the YouTube. And we were like, oh, we
Ah,
should probably harp on the YouTube explicitly as a content marketing platform as opposed to just a video repository. Because at the time I was like, again, I didn't think anybody really cared about, outside of clients, I didn't think general population cared about mass production 3D printing at all. And there were enough 3D printing guys out there that I was like, we don't need to do anything with this. But the asset of the farm let us do content that was kind of interesting, and also just
yep.
the expertise that we have from the print farm was unique and different too. So there's actually something differentiable that we could do, and for some reason people kept on watching it. And now we can't break out of some of the ruts. This is the problem with aging in. I don't. Do you have this problem of like there's a type of video that you know gets a lot of views, but you don't really want to make that video?
Unfortunately, yes. The machine is
Yeah.
hungry for one thing. Yeah.
Uh huh. Yeah. It's not even the machine. It is the audience. You've just been baked in to
Yeah.
kind of this group to where there's nothing against the group or whatever else it was. They've subscribed to your channel because of the videos that they liked. But now if you get experimental, YouTube's like, nope, nobody in your audience watched it at first, so now you can't show it anywhere.
That's honestly been the biggest challenge with my channel over the years is because, I don't know when I started talking. I started dabbling in 3D printing stuff like a long time ago, but the videos always performed terribly because my audience
Hmm.
just didn't care, right?
Yep.
And then like as I got bigger, I guess I got to a bigger reach, and as I did more 3D printing stuff, it got more and more popular. So now, like I know if I do a video on 3D printing, it's going to do well, but most of my audience does not care about 3D printing. So I live in this weird world of woodworking and 3D printing, and I'm kind of in the middle where some audience, cares about this, other audience doesn't. So it's easy for me to alienate part of my audience if I just pursue views, right? Which
Yeah.
in the long term you could argue is not good for the channel. So that was another reason for
No.
starting a second channel just about 3D printing because I said if I'm going to do content about 3D printing, I should probably be a little bit more laser focused on the 3D printing side of things.
Here's an interesting question for you. In the context of, yes, you have the niches of like woodworking, shop building, tools, and then 3D printing kind of exclusively there. How broadly do you think those videos are capable of reaching? Do you think they're stuck to that audience and interest group? Or have you had videos where you're like, this got to a different bunch of people who are just people wandering around YouTube? Was there something about that that seemed repeatable to you? Or was it just a fluke?
Um, yes and no. So like there's two videos that come to mind that got to like a huge audience. One was I built a stupid shed in my backyard a couple of years ago. And I put together a video of like the time lapse of the whole thing, right? So there's like basically no audio, there's just like some music and it's just me doing the whole thing. It reached like massively well beyond anybody who knows anything about Shopnation, right? They're going to watch that video and that video only probably or other
Hmm.
shed building videos, I'm sure. And then the other one was about 3D printing, where I just basically said like, "This is the printer I'd buy if I started over." That was the first 3D printing video that reached way beyond, I think, even just my own 3D printing audience, but a larger, more broader audience who maybe was just curious about 3D printing.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's like it's weird. Like every time that's happened, I've just kind of like backed into it. It wasn't on purpose. Like if we knew the secret sauce on how to do that, I think we'd all be doing it all the time. Um,
Well,
but
like you say, there's chasing the views, and then there's actually maintaining the audience and the longevity of the channel.
exactly. It's a double-edged sword. It's like a short-term gain for like you got to recover after that for a while because a lot of these
Exactly.
newfound subscribers are like, "What are you talking about? I don't want to learn about this."
Hmm. That was. Have you messed with shorts at all? Very
No,
heavily.
not at all. Nope.
What's the reason you're avoiding it? I have mine, but like,
So as you do YouTube, like you meet other people who do YouTube over time, and I'm friends with like a lot of creators who are much larger than me, and they've dabbled in the space, and they would share their data, and they say that you kind of attract like a whole new set of audience who are just looking for short form videos. So your long
hmm
form suffers. So it's like you kind of got to pick like which one you want to go after. And I didn't feel like I needed to replicate the experiment, so I said, okay, that works.
that's yep. That's pretty much what we ran into. It had a separate audience that wanted shorts content, sort of. More of them converted into long form than we thought,
Okay.
but we did realize that they were radically jacking up our comment section because
Uh,
it was just
in a
it
good
was
way or a
a
bad way?
in a bad way. Oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely bad way. We were just like, who the heck is this? This is not what we normally see. And we're like, oh, it's that freaking short. They're all
yeah.
coming over from there. They're the new subs who got the long form for some reason. And we were just like, this is rough. Now we're revisiting it because we still the shorts have the ability to break loose in a way that long form
Hmm.
doesn't very often, and you also just get more bites at the apple. So we're being a view whore over there and trying to figure out how we can get as many of them as we can get without
Yeah.
screwing up everything. But still, it's always been, yes, a separate audience where we're just like, this is two separate channels, which is why I understand why some guys have gone with the shorts channel and the long form channel as two totally separate entities. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's what's up.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's something there. There's people that are making use of it and doing really well with it. But I just think,
Unless you're, some of them are doing all right with it, but unless you're a sponsored YouTuber or fully live off of sponsorships, I don't know if anybody's really making a living off of short. Well, no, that's not true.
well, I take that back. I don't mean making money from it. I just mean like it's converting enough people to then watch their long form where
Oh,
it's beneficial for them.
that's fair. Yeah, that's
Because
fair.
yeah, the ad rates on them are terrible, right?
Oh, they're like, I think you get whatever, like a penny per thousand views on shorts. And in the 3D printing industry, you get like $3 to $5 per thousand. Well, not CPM, whatever it is,
Yeah,
in 3D printing space. But then you got the financial guys that get like 20 to 30, and you're like, that's where the money is.
I know.
So yeah, uh, yeah. You're, I don't know if I can ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which has the higher value audience, the 3D Print Farm Academy or the Shopnation channel? Did they split at all?
Great question. I haven't compared the CPM for both. I
We
have to look
started
into
up
that.
a we started up a business focused 3D printing channel, and it's 4 times more valuable per CPM than the core channel,
Interesting. That
which
makes
was
sense. I mean, I
yeah,
yeah, and a lot of what I talk about is like money or like around pricing and stuff like that.
yeah,
So maybe that would make sense.
yeah. I would bet that it would be higher value, but again, you've got the woodworking stuff in Shop Nation and the shop stuff, to where I'm like, maybe that's a different one because side of it is not as cheap as the 3D printing industry is, so it might be better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, it's all about how they convert. Yeah, I guess
Exactly.
financial people are like much more likely to buy whatever products they're advertising, so they jack it up.
There's that. And if you sell somebody a checking account, you got them for 20 years because they're not going
Yeah.
to move. So all
Yeah.
all the good stuff over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, but all right. Well, that's a lot more YouTube than I was expecting for this time around. But that's
I'm
fun.
always, I'm always
Yeah.
curious for people that listen that don't have anything to do with YouTube. Like, I always wonder if that stuff is interesting or if it's like they're just like, God, I wish they would stop talking about this.
This is totally true, but if none of us ever record this, then every one of us has to discover it when the next generation comes around.
That's
So even
true.
if this is around for like the 10 guys in the future, fine.
You
That's
know,
more useful.
it's funny you say that. Like, I used to do an income review video every year.
Hmm.
And so at the end of the year, I would like break down exactly how much money I made from YouTube, all the different revenue streams. And I know of at least two people who are now full-time YouTubers that only became full-time YouTubers because they watched those videos.
Yep.
because I broke down like how the ad rates work and like how the merchandise works in and just all the different ways you can make money. And they were like, "Holy
Right.
crap, I could do that." So it's
Yes.
like there's there's definitely value for putting that stuff out there.
Leaving some sort of a seed and also having some goalpost to measure against. Because when you're
Yeah.
starting cold in YouTube, you're like, am I doing well or am I
Right.
not doing well? And there's no way to tell because you got Mr. Beast and then broke college kid with 10 views. And you're like,
Right.
I'm somewhere in between, but is this going anywhere?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I don't own a
I
Lamborghini yet, so I don't think I'm
right.
doing that well.
Not doing that well at all. Exactly. So yeah, I think it's useful just to have the discussion to set up some things around there. Like I know if we were a full time YouTuber, which you're in the, do you still do sponsorships of any sort,
I do.
or are
Yeah.
you? Okay, so you still do sponsorships. We've almost killed all sponsorships, but if we did, I know that we would not have any formal sponsorships at all. We would be doing fully affiliate. We would
Mm,
not do any more sponsored videos. The
yeah.
trick to that is finding the correct affiliates, which is like softwares and that kind of thing, and you got to search
Right.
around for them. And most affiliates seem really cheap and don't break, but until you find the one that's really good for your
Yeah.
audience, and then it's money. So that's my tip to anybody else watching or something like that. Go straight to affiliate, and then you don't have to have a 2 week back and forth of what if the video's okay, and you get to run.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty close to being like sponsor free. But for anyone who's wanting to start YouTube, it's like you got to go through. Like that's the way you're gonna eat basically for a while. Is take the sponsorships, do the dumb ad reads, all
Yep.
the things. But I agree.
Yep.
If you got affiliates that line up with your niche and that your audience actually wants, and it's not you're just not being a shill, and it's actually like something
Yes.
worthwhile. Like, do it.
Yep. A good product for your audience is totally fine and will
Yep.
convert amazingly. Did
Yep.
you did you do Amazon affiliates or did you do other like direct company relations?
I've done it all. I've been doing Amazon for the longest.
Yeah.
I find Amazon useful because it's just the universal love language of shopping. Everyone shops on Amazon. It just
Yep.
gets tricky if you got like international customers because they've all got their own storefront, whatever.
That's true. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Do you have a
Which
large international audience?
I was gonna say it's not a big deal for what I do. It just depends on the video. Like some things, like I some videos are like 10% of the viewers are in Germany, and like if I give an Amazon link, like the link is broken or it doesn't route right or however it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it is. Oh. No, I'm not going to go down in that road. But how long do you think it's going to be before you're able to have Shopnation be like the primary sponsor of the channel exclusively without having other people in there?
Good question. And I've almost pulled the trigger on doing this several times, and it's funny. Like there's so many ebbs and flows in YouTube where I'll go
Mm,
through a stage where I'm just so burnt out from doing sponsorships and ad reads and stuff like that, and if I'm like comparing how much time I spend doing it versus the money I'm making from it, I'm like, is it even worth it? Because like anyone who does YouTube, also when you have an ad read, you see like an instant drop in your retention, right,
yep.
on your video. Like everyone's like, oh, he's doing a factor ad. I'm gonna fast forward.
Yep.
Um, so it negatively impacts the video. So like you really have to make a business decision on whether it's worth doing. But then like the next month the ad rates go up and I'm getting all these like, much higher offers for sponsorships. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can keep doing it. So I just got to get over like that, the dangling carrot sometimes. But my goal is probably within a year or two to definitely be sponsorship free. 1 year is probably the goal.
That's fair. Are you using an agency still, or are you independent with working with sponsors?
I'm back with an agency. So for the most of the time, I've been doing it myself. But about a year ago, I went back to an agency just to take a thing off my plate.
That's fair. We tried the agency thing for a little bit too, and then we went away from it
Yeah.
because we were just we thought they were missing stuff. And again,
Yeah.
we just decided we're not doing ads anymore because it's just too much. It's too much brain space to say, is the sponsor right? Do they fit with what we're doing? Is it going to mess up our stuff, or is it going to dilute the other things? And we're already a
Yeah.
company who shills everything all the time anyway. So I'm just like, we got too many ads around.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yep. And it can skew
but
the whole video too. Like
yeah,
I mean, sometimes you make a video unknowingly to you, really, or maybe subconsciously, just for the sponsorship, and then you're like, well, what are we doing here?
That's true. If it starts creating a goal misalignment, then yeah, it starts messing with your audience and everything else.
Yeah.
The joys. The joys of the YouTubes.
Yeah.
This weird psychological experiment we're all in of just trying to move masses of people around.
Seriously.
I know, right? What do you think is going to happen to YouTube with all the AI stuff coming in and all the rest of it? What are you excited about? Scared about? You gonna get yourself cloned?
Yeah.
Crank out a video a day.
Digitally or physically?
Digitally.
I don't know.
They got enough.
You know, I think we're still probably a couple years away from like truly believable like total AI content as far as like replicating an existing creator. I think what AI is going to do is it's going to create like this weird niche of like human generated content where it's like, well, I watch this guy because it's like actually a person or whatever.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to watch this movie because I know it's directed by a person or whatever. It's almost going to be like the new like hipster thing is like I only watch people made content.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know though. It's the whole AI thing has been tricked. There's parts of it that's like accelerated way faster than I would have anticipated, and there's other parts where I'm just like, how is this not done yet? So I'm kind of done trying to guess how it's going to affect everything.
I think there's going to be a third revenue stream that pops up inside of YouTube, which is making your video available to AI search engines, and YouTube's going to start licensing their content to everybody, and then we're going to get an extra little 2 cents for every time whatever we show up in ChatGPT search or Perplexity or something like that.
Are you talking about for like data scraping or for like? Okay.
Yeah, it's like make this available for AIs to train on, and it's basically going to just be like be findable on Google, and since they're using re-embellishing whatever because we're in the educational space, so we're semi-protected because the world's going to keep on moving and needing different versions of it or needing fresh education on the current context, so we're right in line with news to where it's kind of just in time. So all the scrapers and all the AIs need our stuff to understand what's going on in the world, as compared to like an entertainer to where, well, make a beautiful and funny clone or something like that and have them dance around on video for a second saying something that's funny. That can almost be ChatGPT, but the education is something where people still have to, well, the AI companies will have to purchase that content in order to have their model be aware of it.
So interesting, yeah.
So I'm guessing that it's going to turn into effectively an AdSense version that is just like, oh, somebody trained on our data off our video, fine, give us the 50 cents for that training or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll bet that. I think that's going in that direction because YouTube's already demonetized all the AI videos. So they've already said that they're going to be human first. So I'm happy about that in the context of the platform that we're on right now.
Yeah.
But unhappy in the fact that we can't make an AI channel now and just crank out a whole bunch of schlock. But fine. We'll keep on hosting videos ourselves like some kind of caveman. But
yeah.
No, but yeah, it's been fun to watch.
So I wonder, I know you've noticed now, but when you upload a video, you have to basically check a box saying it doesn't include AI altered content.
Mm-hmm.
If you just included a little bit of AI content, would that make you demonetized?
I have no. Well, they say AI voice.
Full on AI videos.
It's full on. They're touting it as full on. The main thing they were hitting on was voice because everybody's doing AI voiceover slideshows and stuff that's just inundating everything. So it's mainly targeted at those things right now because that's what they can see. We've dropped. No, we've only used images. We use AI thumbnails kind of semi-regularly and that kind of stuff, at least for help with the design of them all. And then we haven't used, well, we've used a couple of AI animations and stuff. I know we've dropped that a couple times. And it hasn't ruined the video, so apparently we're okay. But I also don't know how it would tell. And I know the guys at Google are smart, but like I don't know how they tell that our animation is for AI rather than a graphic designer. I don't know why they go after it. I'll bet the voices are easier because they can either get them from the phraseology that it's using or the actual inflection of it somehow. Yeah. But beyond that, I don't know how they tell. And that's going to be a fascinating battle over the next 5 years.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better and harder to tell. So it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, where was I going with that? In the context of AI with YouTube, I think we're pretty well protected for the most part, just because they've realized that there's still I think all the AI companies have come to the point of eating their own tail, to where it's coming
Yeah.
full circle of like the data is training on the data that did the data before, and now we're circling it around. Literally, whatever, like a week ago, OpenAI had ChatGPT 5 come out, and that was not as big of. I don't know if you follow AI very close, but GPT 5 was not a big breakthrough compared to like 4 to 3 and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's like plateauing. It's like, not so good.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was an optimization. It was not some big old, wow, this is totally different.
Interesting.
So, do you follow the AI stuff? Do you care? Get very close to it, or talk to ChatGPT 20 times a day, or any of that kind of stuff?
I am one of those weird, like for my, I don't know how old you are. I'm in my mid 30s. I should be using AI way more than I do. Like everyone I know is like, even my wife, I'll ask her something. She goes, hold on, let me ask AI. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to
But
figure out the Google over here.
it's my own fault. Like I should. Like it's a massively helpful tool. I just have not like built the muscle yet.
That's fair. It took me a long time too. I am in my mid 30s too. And I was just like, it took me longer to get used to the concept of like moving from Google over to like ChatGPT,
Yeah.
which has happened, which is scary for Google. But it's like, that is my default option now. But it did come. I know that like the Gen Zers freaking
Oh,
share
yeah.
everything with it. And I'm just like, I know I'm being a boomer at this point, but it feels weird to share everything with this machine right now.
I know.
And I'm like, I sound like my parents saying, I can't put a credit card on the internet. And I'm like, oh, how far am I willing to go on this? Or am I just being old?
Yeah.
So it is weird.
Yeah,
But
I have some younger people working for me, and they like in school and everything. They use it for everything. And the thing that kind of freaks me out is they just blindly believe whatever the heck is typed out.
yep,
Right? There's no way, there's
yep.
no like source, there's no validation, there's nothing. And for like easy stuff, like there's probably not a concern, but if you ask it an opinion about something, it's just like that's it. ChatGPT said that.
That's true, but in fairness, we all copy and pasted plenty of Wikipedia pages in our day, and just because
True.
they were written by
Which
another
is
moron on the YouTube.
Yeah, that is no, that's a good point, and that's a poor man's ChatGPT. So yeah,
Yes, it was. It was very much poor man's ChatGPT.
yeah,
Um, so I think it'll continue to be a misinformation problem, but misinformation on the internet isn't necessarily a new thing. It's doing it more and bigger, but the internet was already more and bigger than all of us could possibly stand anyway. So
exactly.
I'm not sure if more water in the ocean really affects us that much. At least that's how I'm looking at it right at the moment. I haven't seen where it wildly goes off the rails yet, just because there's so much more.
Yeah,
I wasn't watching all of YouTube every day anyway, so I didn't realize how much misinformation there was out there 10 years ago.
right, right. The thing that kind of freaks me about it is I know that all these different and now that there's a bunch of AI platforms, all competing like Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini, all those. It just seems like there's a huge monetization opportunity that cannot be ignored forever, right? So if I can get ChatGPT to suggest my thing or my company or my solution, like there's a lot of money there, and it's just human nature makes it hard to ignore that for very long.
Huge amount of money from it, except for the fact that people don't click on ChatGPT search results.
Oh,
They take the answer from ChatGPT, but then they don't follow through to the link. I think it's like a 10% follow through on the link as compared to like Google search.
interesting.
So this is the problem that we all have of like, yeah, you get to be the information provider inside of the model there, and they're referencing you, but that doesn't follow through as well as traditional internet does. So we haven't figured out
Conversion
what to
rate
do
is
about that.
terrible.
Garbage,
Huh.
absolutely garbage. I think it'll shift because the shopping ChatGPT has shopping built into it. Most people don't know this, but it was a secret little thing that they dropped there before. They basically have Amazon product listings and that kind of stuff that'll pop up if you go shopping for stuff. But that hasn't been built out enough to where it's like, can I register my product inside of ChatGPT and put it in the OpenAI store the way I do with like Google Merchant stuff, and now it's registered, and now they'll reference it and compare it against reviews or whatever they decide to do it all. I think it's just an evolution of the medium to where that starts to work well as a conversion method. But as far as organic search, we all get the AI search results on our websites, but it just doesn't convert very well, or it could be a lot more than what we're actually seeing.
Hmm. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's funky. The one thing that I think we're missing, well, no. The main spot we've used AI is just efficiency. I know that we're cranking out, right now I know that 70, maybe 80% of the code that we write is AI because you have it just run it out. I know that we use it for scripting, titles, and thumbnails of some videos because it can take our base notes and at least turn them into something readable. And then I try to get people to use it downstairs in production more often, but we don't as much as I would like. But we'll get there.
How do you use it in production?
If people take notes into a single chat, you can actually build up the knowledge base in a way that you can't with a handbook. So basically, I want the whole handbook just going into a ChatGPT project or something else so that somebody can actually ask a question and get an answer from previous answers. Gotcha. And it's easy enough to where if everybody has ChatGPT on the phone, they can just speak into it, so you're not typing or fidgeting around with your thumbs, and you can actually do a deep explanation of, I found this part with a skip line in it, it looks like this is the thing you need to do, and I went over here and told this person, and so on and so forth, and that effectively can create an SOP going into the future that will rise whenever somebody else follows up on that chat 6 months or a year from now. So as a bookkeeping, note-taking, as a stenographer, who can immediately pull up that past information and contextualize it, it's stupidly useful if people get used to the idea of talking to it on the regular.
Right.
At this point, when we're hiring people, I pretty much always say, do you know what ChatGPT is and do you use it? And if they're like, no, I try to do the math myself and that kind of thing, I'm like, no, that is not what it is. The calculator has been invented. This is not your high school math class. Go use it. We've got a job to be done. I don't care if you know how to do the math and can show your long division work. I need the math done. So that's kind of my philosophy on it anymore. It's like you just have to use it because you ain't stopping the train, and whatever weirdness you might feel about it, it's like feeling weird about the internet in 2005 or something like that. And you're like, nope, this one's not stopping. It might be in a bubble. It might have a down flux or whatever else it was, but it's not going away. It's not faddish in any sort of fashion. So we're just like, how do we use it?
Yeah, that's interesting. For someone who doesn't use AI at all, myself, we use a program.
You're Luddite.
Yeah, I know. We use a program for customer support emails. So we've like built a profile. We fed it a bunch of like documents, SOPs, that kind of thing, and it is basically our first line of defense when an email comes in, and it'll we can make it empathetic. Obviously, you can do whatever you want with it, but that has been massively helpful in just reducing the human workload of answering the same damn questions over and over again.
Is it an AI bot or is it a decision tree style?
It's an actual AI bot. So it's a company it's a program called Gorgias, Gorgis. But it's phenomenal. Now, you pay like per automation, and it's like they've got a whole model there, but saves us a heck of a lot of time.
Oh, do they have you pay per automation or per answer? Like per resolved customer issue? Okay.
Yeah, so basically a resolve, like a closed circle is like an automation for them. So if somebody said, like for a Shopify order, they say, hey, I need to update my address, the bot can do the whole thing. And assuming the customer confirms and does all the checks it needs to, that's one automation that goes against our billing.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of cool. That's perfect. Oh, that's stupidly handy for all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We've tried to make it useful in kind of like the sales process of answering those basic questions, like how big is your machine, yada, 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 all this stuff.
Right.
But we have had a problem of keeping it on the rails because it keeps on. It doesn't hallucinate, but it'll like reference something from the internet around 3D printing that I'm like, no, that's not how we do stuff here. I don't care what you learned on Reddit. That doesn't show up in my chat.
Yeah.
So
this
that's
one,
always
this one you can keep it closed, so you can give it online resources to use, but we just train it on internal documents.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that works. And if it gets lost or it gets stuck, it just emails somebody and says, "Hey, answer this message for me."
Yeah, it's called an escalation. It puts it into a different inbox. Basically, it says like, "Hey, I need a human."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool.
Is the company going to be around in 6 months, or are they brand new?
No, they've been around. We've been using them for about a year now, I think.
Oh, good.
And they're actually, I think their biggest investor is Shopify or something. Like they're like
Oh,
embedded
perfect.
somehow. So yeah, I think they're here to stay for at least a year or two more.
That's fair. Yeah, if not, they'll at least get absorbed or something.
Yeah,
Uh, you've been using Shopify for a while. How have you liked them as a place to run your business on top of?
I love it.
Nice.
Now, granted, I haven't built like a full-fledged shop using anything else. So, Squarespace, Wix, Woot, or whatever
If it
they.
ain't broke, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I see it is like Shopify is big and it has a lot of integrations and everything natively talks to it, and it's just easy. But yeah, I've had no problems with it.
Nice. The Is there something that you wish existed for your either YouTube, the business, the Shopify store, any of that kind of stuff, any of the Shopnation ecosystem? What is something that you're looking for that you wish would exist?
Hmm, that is a great question. I don't know offhand. If I had probably an hour to think about it, I could probably come up with a couple things.
That's fair.
Um, but yeah, there's absolutely opportunities out there of things I probably run into. I just can't think of right now.
That's all right.
But yeah, it would probably mostly be software based, where it would reduce the amount of time it took me to do something, and I could just have something figured out for me.
Where do you spend most of your time in a day anymore?
Um, it changes by day. Just it like I'm kind of in a weird season right now of like everything, just because I've got these like massive projects going on at my house that I'm filming as part of the channel, right? So it's like I'm
Hmm.
mixing worlds a little bit. But I would say I probably spend most of my day on the 3D printing business, uh, designing products, fixing issues, running just basic things. That's probably where I spend most of my time.
Oh yeah, that's the joy of running one of those things.
Yeah.
Uh, in You started building out a team at this point. How many
hmm
folks have you got working with you at this point?
So I've got two full-time employees. I've got a full-time editor, which and
Nice.
a full-time print farm manager, which both of those hires were like, oh my God, massive helps. I mean,
Yeah,
so massive.
you were still editing them the last time we talked. For
Yeah. I held
how
off for far too long.
It's deeply relaxing to have somebody else doing that for you.
Yeah. Just ship them footage. Like, here you go.
How What was like the onboarding process like? How long did it take for them to kind of get the tonality or the pacing that you looked at, especially after you'd been editing them for a while?
It was like 1,000 times faster than I would have thought. And that was always my biggest reservation was like, I'm gonna have to like train this person on like what I like and what, all this stuff. And I think that there's like a big lesson like in just the broader entrepreneurship sense is like if you bring someone on that's good at a thing, let them do the thing. It's like this my editor Colby is friggin' awesome. He can edit circles around me. So the things that I thought I liked was just because that was like the limit of my capability, right? He brings a whole new skill set to the table. It's like, hey, what if we did this? And I'm like, yeah, do that. That sounds good. So it's just like relinquishing that control was hard, but I found it, both massively beneficial in that like it actually leveled up the content in addition to giving me that time back. So the ramp up period was actually very short. I mean, within a month we were in like a pretty good cadence. But the one thing I did that I'm really glad I did before I hired him was I started like systematizing how I produce videos. Whereas before it was just like, all right, I've got a kind of an idea for a script. I've kind of got an idea for what I want to do, and I've just kind of figured it out, right? It all lived in my head. So I started a process of like writing out a format of like how I want to do things, what the thumbnail and title ideas are, how I think the video goes together, and then like kind of keep all the videos in stages, different, like of production. This one's in writing, this one's ready to shoot, this one's in editing. And then when I hired my editor, I just like introduced him to my system, and we were off to the races. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, I do want to put a slight pin in that too. Like in the context of hiring, every person who's ever been awesome, in my company at least, you've always known they were awesome probably in about the first 1 or 2 weeks. And anybody
Yeah.
who you were ever like, maybe they'll get better or whatever else it was, never gets better. So that's the expectation. You know almost instantly once it works out. Now, you might have to hire a few people in order to get your own intuition about people being good or bad and that kind of stuff,
Yep.
but you will start to know very quickly. And a lot of people get in their head about like fixing, especially if you're an engineer, you get in a fixing mentality of like, oh, we can retrain, or it might be this, or it might be management. It's like, nope, they just don't fit. Nothing against that person. It's just not a good fit. Moving on with life. And enough people don't realize that, especially when they're starting something up, and that you can go with your gut, live with it on, move on with life, and that's okay. Because the awesome people will immediately be awesome, and you'll just be like, wow, that was hired somebody good, and it's way better than I expected it to be, and this is just amazing right off the bat.
Yes.
But anyhow.
One specific I will call out, especially for 3D printing, is I learned early on, like I thought when I was hiring help for doing stuff in the 3D print farm that I wanted to hire people who had a knowledge of 3D printing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
actually that ended up backfiring because then they show up and they got all these ideas on how to do things, and I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, we're doing things this way. I appreciate feedback. If you want to give me an idea, that's fine. But so my current print farm manager hired him from like this weird off chance meeting, but he has no background in 3D printing. So he just showed up as a blank slate. He's like, all right, show me what to do, you know? And at that point, it's the intangibles that are much more important. Like, you know, he's responsible, he's timely, he does all the things that you should do that you can then mold into the employee that you want.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the stupid basic stuff. If somebody can't show up on time 5 days in a row for the couple weeks or so like that, there's no way they're going to get anything else done very well.
Yep.
But it is funny that you say that you don't want 3D printing people kind of in general. No one at the company here has ever worked with 3D printing prior to being here. And I generally say, oh, you've got a hobby 3D printer? That's a red flag. I'm like, nope, can't have you here. You're going to think you're going to spend 2 hours on this machine fixing it. We don't have time for that. Right. This is an operation. We got 1,000 machines. Move on to something else.
Right.
Pick your battles. And there's so many bad habits in hobby 3D printing that are just fantastically counterproductive.
Yep.
Turning from an artisan into an actual manufacturer is the transition that has to happen.
Yeah, most of the hobby of 3D printing is tinkering and twisting dials. It's like, we got the dials twisted, we're good. Just we need to crank stuff out.
Exactly. Even today with the easier 3D printers or that kind of stuff, once you start making a bunch of them, they still break down and still have issues and all the rest of it. Yeah. So it doesn't get, well, it gets a little bit better, but not a ton. How many machines do you have running right now?
We haven't grown, I think, since we talked last. I don't know that we've expanded a whole lot. We're probably at like,
that's fine,
70-ish, somewhere in that range, something like
that. That's nice. That's a solid number. That'll keep people off the streets and out of trouble.
Yeah, it's doing well, and we're in the process of moving into a larger space, so we'll have roughly twice the capacity that we could have if we choose to expand to that.
Nice. Is the well, I'll follow up on the new space, but in when you're running the printers and that kind of stuff, do you mainly do runs in batches, or do you do almost full on demand, kind of based on where orders are on any given day, or do you just maintain an inventory set?
So that's been the biggest thing with having a print farm manager, is we're now have like a inventory stash. It's something that I've wanted to have for a long time, but I just, with me intermittently running things, I was just never able to keep up. So we've gotten to the point where we know the product mix well enough where we just run in batches. So we really like what our order actual volume doesn't impact our production schedule. It'd have to be pretty drastic for us to take notice and then change something that we're doing. But yeah, we've built up a big enough buffer where we can sort of just produce on a regular schedule, which has been great.
Nice. Do you have a seasonality in your business?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, Q4 is always our busy time, as in, with most online businesses. The spring is like definitely our slowest time for whatever reason. So March, April, May is usually our slow time. So
oh really?
Yeah, there's a bit of seasonality, but it's fairly consistent.
That's fair. Oh, that's interesting. For tools, I would have expected it to be like more level.
I've tried to dissect why that is, just given what we sell, because we sell things to people who are making stuff in their garages.
Right.
So I thought, okay, people like in the spring, I would think sales would be it's like the opposite of what I would think, because it's like, all right, in the spring, people are like waking up from the winter and they're getting outside and they're starting to build stuff, and I just figured sales would start to tick up then, but for whatever reason, it's not the case.
We've seen the drop off in the spring, but it's always been the hangover from Christmas. And we're like, okay, everything goes to like mid-January, and then all the Christmas money's been spent, and then it falls off. But yeah, again, it feels like tools shouldn't have that effect. But
Yeah.
that's funky. I'll find it. What do you want to do next?
So we're starting to dabble in some more non 3D printed products to kind of add to the mix. So I'd like to expand that a bit. There's still a big opportunity in 3D printing for what we're doing, but I think I want to diversify in manufacturing methods a little bit. It's not that I mean, I love 3D printing. We all love 3D printing, but
You choose
it's
the
got its
tool.
shortcomings. Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. It's a tool. And there's some things that we're doing that's really well suited for, and others it's not. So, yeah, I think expanding into like bigger and better things to complement sort of like our core audience and what we want to help them do in their workshops would be our goal, and that's part of the reason for going to the bigger space too, to allow us to keep larger inventory levels of certain things that we have to buy in larger quantities and stuff like that.
Now I know you're going into molding, but like, are there other processes that you got like on teed up for some product at this point?
Not necessarily. So yeah, we switched from 3D printing to molding on like some universal parts that we use across all of our products, just because the volumes like made sense. I would say probably CNC is going to be like the next big opportunity, CNC or laser, depending on the product. The newest products that we introduced are all CNC, which comes with its own challenges and stuff. But again, it's a tool, it's a manufacturing method, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say probably CNC would probably be the next opportunity. I don't know that we have another like great molding opportunity at the moment, but that could change.
That's fair. Within the context of the 3D printing, what is something that you wish it was doing that it doesn't do right now?
As far as the technology,
Yeah, you stay on the cutting edge of what they're capable of doing and what they're making and that kind of stuff. Is there a product that you're being prevented from making because you're like, that needs to be on a machine somewhere?
um, that's a good question. I think that I think in terms of FDM, I don't think that there's a whole lot of runway for additional capabilities that I would want. So it's almost like I'd want expansion of a powder bed system that can give me the material characteristics and price point that makes sense for what we make. Like part strength is like our thing that we're always battling, and FDM obviously has its limits as far as like brittleness and ductility and all that kind of stuff. Unless you want to go to like super premium materials, which are like obscenely expensive and kind of take the market out of it. So I think resin's attractive for like a lot of reasons, but again, it's like just stupid expensive for creating products. So if there was some breakthrough in some alternative printing medium where the raw material was cheap enough, that's where I think like whether it's pellets or some process that utilizes a raw material that's already baked into another market that we can just like swoop in, right? Is going to bring that cost down. That's why the like mixed metal 3D printing started to take off. Like with the metal injection molding market already has that material, so they were able to just funnel it right into a 3D printing process. So you're starting to get like economical with some of these small parts coming off of those mixed metal solutions, binder jetting solutions. So something like that in the plastic world, I think would be exciting, and I think open up a lot of opportunity to make some like real higher volume products.
Was the cost of material like one of the reasons you didn't end up taking a whole bunch of this stuff towards MJF and just stayed in FDM?
Yeah, yeah. I looked hard at MJF, and I just can't do it. Even that, like, what's misleading about MJ or multi-jet fusion is like the packing density of the parts. You would think would be like the reason you can get the economy of that whole build volume, but depending on the parts, there's like a thermal like limit to what you can do, right? So if you've got like
Mm-hmm.
big bulky parts, you can't shove as many parts in there because it's got to cool and all that kind of stuff. So there's
They
like weird
warp.
nuances. Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, if you've got a bunch of teeny things that you can nest together and just fill that whole volume with, it's like
Yeah.
phenomenal. But the parts that we do, unfortunately, are not a great fit.
It's amazing how close MJF is to like molding in that way of like you want thin
Yeah.
walled parts that are spread apart, plenty of room so that the thin walls can cool out well and you don't have all this shrinkage and material overpowering kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. The ability to make bulky stuff is something that's both underrated and overrated inside of FDM. Just the fact that you can enclose that volume, have it still be structural, but it's still thick and chunky. People don't use
Sure.
it enough, but it's also something you can do.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's a huge advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, have you? Has there been something that FDM has enabled outside of the business model? Obviously, you get to create a large variation of parts. You get to produce them as you kind of need them, so you don't have inventory constraints. There's all the business model context there, but yeah, on the engineering side, what have you been able to do with your parts using FDM that you otherwise weren't able to get away with, or have there been any?
I would say the most exciting stuff in that space was when I was at Mark Forge, just given what you could inlay into those parts. You could do some really cool stuff that was like blew our minds as far as how strong you can actually make things. Being able to put continuous carbon fiber or Kevlar or glass fiber, whatever it is. So I'd say that was probably the biggest one. And I know now there's, it's funny, I saw an advertisement for a little continuous carbon fiber printer for like $2,300, and I was like, what? And I'm like looking
Oh
into it.
yeah.
It's FiberSeek 3D, I think is the name.
Yep.
And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, hold on. And so I messaged him. I was like, how do you get around the Mark Forge patents? How do you do that? And I find that it's actually just a spin-off of an Isoprint, which is a Russian company, which just infringes the hell out of the patents. So so
Yep.
it's funny. It's all connected. But yeah, I as far as FDM like unlocking like a I don't know. I'd say probably some of the mixed material stuff you're seeing on some of like the lower cost printers is pretty cool. I think people are probably underutilizing a little bit, mixing like flexibles with, different strength materials, but that just opens up like a whole new skill set that 99% of people just don't have.
Yep. And won't have for the weird situation here with printing is that it's creating so many of these niche expertises to where it's like
Yes.
you're the guy who knows how to use TPU and PLA together, but nobody else on the planet knows how to do it. So
Right.
good on you, but it's
Yep.
I'm curious to know how far that runs, or if it's just a market thing of like that was actually useful enough, or if it's just somebody has to go out and aggregate all these things into a textbook to where it's actually teachable in some class, if that will ever be possible.
I think it's going to be dependent on how popular it is. Like the TPU integration with like PLA or PTG or whatever it is.
Sure.
Like I think got popular enough, and now you're seeing within the slicers they have like it creates the geometry where I forgot what they call it, where it's like basically creates like a sawtooth so it bonds together
Mm-hmm.
better. Whereas
Yeah.
before you'd have to like know how to model that and know you need to do that to make a part that doesn't just rip apart. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think as some of that stuff like gets more popular, I think the slicers and companies are just going to tackle it, make it
That is
easy.
true. Yeah, it was like a scarf seam inside a Prusa slicer or something
Yeah.
like that. I think who released it.
Yep.
You're right. But the slicers are doing too much. The slicers don't know who they want to be or what they're supposed to be doing.
Every time I get an update, I'm like, what is this going to change? What is this?
Yes. Give me 20 more settings that I get to jigger around with and it'll mess up everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
All the stuff. No, slicers are so weird because yes, they want to be design software, but they're not. But they're also supposed to be easy to use, and they're not. And you're like, you should be a back-end system inside of a CAD software or something like that. That's how I feel about slicers.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, and nowadays, you can add text, you can emboss things on it. It's like,
Yes, you're
I
like
don't know. Is this
Yeah.
modeling or is this slicing? Yeah.
exactly. But anyhow, AI is gonna fix it all. You're just gonna say the thing and it'll show up.
I mean, that's, you mentioned the me talking to Greg Mark. His
Oh.
new thing is that his
Yep.
backflip AI is trying to
Yeah.
do just that. They're trying to take a 2D drawing and turn it into a 3D object, which
And they were really good at it. It's
Yeah.
one of the better models that I've worked with. Backflip did a really, really good job of it. I'm gonna be interested to see if they can continue to get enough data to train on it, because
Yep.
this one has already been pirated all over the place to where the Chinese models just have more data.
Yep.
And yes, Mario pops out of it every third model, but like they don't care. Um, but no, backflip is sick, but they also, I'm worried about them because they already found an excellent monetization direction by fixing 3D models by
Yes.
using their engine, and I'm like, that's perfect, that's excellent. Fixed 3D scanning, that's a perfect application. You'll make a ton of money, so long as they don't stop there,
Right.
and then
And they're
otherwise it'll be
not.
disappointing.
Just
Yeah,
talking to Greg, that's yeah. I mean, any startup, you got to get revenue in the door at some point. So
totally.
seems like an easy revenue generating move as a sort of stepping stone to where they want to go.
Totally. No, it's great product market fit for this early on. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see. Well, what else is going on?
What isn't going on, Gabe?
Well, fine. I can commiserate with that. Is the shop almost done? You were putting in the roof on the patio there the other day, spying on you on Instagram.
Yeah. The shop for it's funny because there's the shop that was seen on YouTube, and then there's the shop that it looks like after I'm done filming the video, which is like a giant mess, right? So it's like, but yeah, I'm still. That's what I mean about intermixing basically a project in my backyard and work. So the shop was part of obviously the Shopnation. It's like pretty core to what the channel's about, like making a cool shop, right? Check that off the list. Now I've got to finish all the other stuff as part of the backyard project. So I finished the roof on the inside of the porch. Now I'm building an outdoor kitchen, and then I got to build a deck, and then it's just like this whole never-ending thing, which has nothing to do with 3D printing or what I should be focusing on. But here I am.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, are you giving up on the 3D printing thing? Been a whole lot of just general shop building over there the last little while.
Yeah,
Giving up on it.
It's I always say I have two full-time jobs. I'm like, I do Shopnation and then I do 3D printing at night. That's basically what I do.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the joys of the small business and all the rest of it that comes in there. Just having to chase between the different. Eventually there'll be departments, and then it'll be more fun.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. But alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there.